What kind of economic systems are best at allowing us to exercise the fact that we are created in the image and likeness of God?
Now keep in mind that if you take tiny steps towards any goal, it's just a matter of when you're going to reach it.
Scarcity is the first lesson of economics. Now, the first lesson of politics is to forget the first lesson of economics.
If you don't provide real, actual value to people in exchange for the money that you're asking for in return, you will lose over time.
We can see the economy as a social web that God has created for people to serve each other with their work.
We have the Word of God that provides for us a foundation for knowledge, for truth, for beauty, for goodness, for dignity and value in human beings. We have the Word of God that provides for us things like this. Ready? Thou shalt not steal.
Ethics on the legitimacy of wealth and entrepreneurship individually. Secondly, postmillennial eschatology, that is, the kingdom of God expands across the earth before Jesus comes back in final judgment. And the link to get those two together is the idea of the pursuit of self-interest leading to widespread economic growth and social transformation.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Christ in Capital, the show that wants to encourage you to love God, love neighbor, and build something. As always, I'm joined by my big little brother, Zac, and we are enjoying a 75-minute IPA from Dogfish Head. They have
not
a...
this again. Joined by.
Yes, joined by. Wait, did we settle on by? We settled by, yeah. By. 75-minute... I think they have a 60-minute... they have a 60-minute, a 90-minute...
30, 60, 90, 120.
120. And the 120 is the one that's not... They don't sell it here in North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Too high of an alcohol content.
They still sell it up in Virginia?
As far as I know.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't been up there.
Have you had one of those?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, but like a 4-pack's like $30.
Oh. Was it good?
You had it? Did you not have it? You had it.
I don't think so.
Oh. Yeah, it's very strong.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
18% alcohol?
Let's try this. The 75-minute IPA. This is a test run for me. I've never tried it before, and you haven't either.
Right.
So... All right, let's try it. Ready?
Yeah.
Yep, that's an IPA, all right. At least it's not the Corona. We're not going to get coronavirus, right?
Sure. They say heat and alcohol make the coronavirus go away.
Heat and alcohol?
Yeah. It can't survive in like 80 degrees. That could be
so
wrong.
all of those parties down in the Tampa Bay, they don't have anything to worry about. Heat and alcohol. Okay.
No, I saw a thing today that said China or France has found some type of pill or something that's been known for a long time. 100% of the tests they've done, it's someone with symptoms has stopped having symptoms within 6 days on 100% of the tests. Yeah.
It's just some like random
hydro... I don't know what it was. No, it's hydroxyquin or something like that plus something else. And it just like 100% of the tests.
Really?
Were cured.
I know I saw something about ibuprofen is not a good thing. It's like amplifying the effects.
Yeah.
And then I was looking on the news articles that I get pushed to me, and Tylenol, the company is like ramping up their production because they don't have competition right now because nobody's going to ibuprofen, which is pretty cool. You know, you take opportunities and you capitalize on them. Yeah. What's the deal with the police office? Are you guys having to do anything crazy, like anything new or extra, or like what are they telling you guys you have to do?
I mean, there's a few different things. Nothing crazy. There are certain things that we're allowed to just call the person if they call in, and it's not like a crime that's happening right then, or like if it's something a civil dispute that we can't do anything about, they have to go take out take out like a 50B or something like that. We're allowed. They have to ask, but if the person's like, yeah, they can call, then we're allowed to call. We don't have to go out there. And then dispatch is now asking questions prior to sending us, and if they have any of the symptoms, and it could possibly be that they have the coronavirus, then it comes up on our computer, and we go out there with the right equipment, with the mask and all this other stuff, so that we
really?
protect ourselves.
So dispatch filters.
And they're telling us now. I don't know. I mean, I don't guess anybody. Some people might know where I work, but
you work at a police department?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're telling us if we make arrests if we have to, but if it's something petty, write them a citation so that we don't have to keep in contact with them longer than we need to be.
Yeah, which it's. I mean, this is such uncharted territory. Like, lots of things are changing.
Yeah.
And there's lots of like special, protocol that has to be followed just because of all everything that's going on. Yeah, I wondered about that. Did you see the stuff people were calling the police department because they ran out of toilet paper?
No, I didn't see that.
And I don't remember I don't remember where it was, but they had to the town had to send out a thing. It's like, do not dial 911 if you ran out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. We'll talk about that in a minute because we're going to talk about prices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They told us do not, or they didn't tell us anything. The jail is pretty much not taking a lot of people. If we go down there and there's any chance they have it, they're going to send us to the hospital. They don't even want them at the jail because that's such an enclosed space. If someone has it, all of them are going to get it, and that's just a big problem.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's crazy. All the things you have to think through just because of this whole thing. Yeah, so in other news, the stock market is plummeting. It had a spike yesterday, which...
But it was down like 20,000 or something.
Yeah, it's down like crazy. And there was a spike yesterday, but they were, there's a common phrase in the financial world when you're looking at the stock market when the stock market's about to take a deep dive, but then it has a spike. They call it the dead cat bounce, because even a dead cat will bounce if it hits too hard. And when I went the other day with our mom to talk to her financial advisor, and I was talking to him about it, and he was like, actually now they're calling calling it the dead bat bounce, because it came from the bats in China.
Yeah, maybe, possibly.
But yeah, there's so much stuff being floated around on the internet related to the economy and the stock market and stuff like that, and anyone who tells you they know what's going to happen is just lying. No one knows. No one has that crystal ball. That's why if you could predict the future, you'd pretty much be a billionaire, quadrillion, jillionaire. But there's multiple layers to this. So you haven't looked at your 401k, have you?
No.
Well, maybe you should just wait. Or, I don't know, maybe you want to look at it and decide if you want to take it out. I don't know. Anyways, there's multiple layers to this. I think people think that this is only a coronavirus thing, where, everyone's getting scared, and so, it's just going to drop. It's going to fall, and then maybe in the next year or two, it'll hit the bottom, and then we'll have they call it the V-shaped recovery, where it'll just, once everyone's done with the coronavirus thing and all this stuff, it'll just kind of spike right back up from there. But there's more going on than just the coronavirus. The coronavirus is like a kind of the straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing. Do you remember? You probably don't. Do you remember back in 2008, the financial crisis? No. You were in middle school, I think.
I would have been in 8th grade.
Yeah. And I was
going into 9th.
Yeah.
But,
and I was
just graduated.
Or I was graduating or just graduating high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back then, just so that you kind of have context, what was going on was the banks had been loaning out loans to, they call them subprime loans. So the government basically said, look, we want to be courteous to people who don't have really good credit scores. We want to get people owning houses and building families and stuff like that. And so they told the banks, they're like, look, loan out these loans to people, even though there's, they may not be in the best financial situation. They may not have a very good credit score. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have high salaries or anything. Just, push out these loans. We'll guarantee it pretty much. If it falls through, we'll cover it. So what happens then is the banks are like, well, shoot, if I don't have any risk in this because the government's going to pay any losses that I have, then I just shoot out as many as I can, right? And so you've got all these people that are applying for loans from the bank that don't have the financial wherewithal to, pay these loans, to keep the payments up. I was listening to a podcast and the guy was talking about when he started his career in real estate, or I guess he was in real estate, or he was like a realtor or something like that. And he was selling a house to a guy, and he said, he was talking to the guy, and he was like, look, I'm willing to sell you this house. I know you want it. You want this house. You really like it and all this stuff. And he was like, but we need to go through the financial protocol, like what's going on with your financial situation. He didn't have a very good credit score. The guy said, I only make $25,000 a year, and this was like a $200,000, $300,000 house. And the realtor was like, I don't know if you really qualify for this house. He said, let me call the bank. So he calls the bank up, and the bank's like, just do it. It's okay. It's fine. Just give him the loan. If he thinks that he's going to be able to have a salary that can support it in the future, then you can use that as justification for giving out the loan. And he went back to the guy, and he was like, yeah, I guess. And he was talking to him, and the guy who was buying the house was like, oh yeah, I've got an interview next week. I'm gonna have a new job that has like, a higher pay and all this stuff. And the realtor was just like, oh, okay, I guess. And so he was writing the loan or underwriting the loan for the guy, or not underwriting it, but giving him the loan. And so you've got tons of things like this going on, right? And so the banks, what they do is they package up these loans and they put them in, they call them tranches, where they say, okay, here's a bucket of high or low risk loans. You can sell them for a cheap price because they're not very risky. Yeah. And then you got other tranches in the middle, and you've got really low tranches, which are like really risky. Like, it's going to be a miracle if these people can pay this, essentially. So people are buying up all these loans that are essentially worthless. The sticker price of them is like big loan amounts, but they're essentially worthless because they're loaned out to people who can't pay them. And so 2008 hits, stock market just plummets, right? Crash, 100% crash. And what does the government do? What do you think? What do you think? It says, hey, I'm going to bail the banks out. I've got to pump all this money into the economy to support these banks because, hey, look, these banks hold all of these citizens' pensions and 401ks and all this stuff. Like, the government's got to get in there and do it and pay all this stuff out. So they do that, and the economy gradually starts rising, right? And so that creates a bubble. Okay, there's this bubble in the market. It's just a matter of time before it pops. Okay, and so for the past however many years, 5-6 years, people have been predicting that this is coming, right? Like, it's just a matter of time. Yeah. I remember like last year talking to I don't remember who it was. I work for for people who don't know, I work for a financial institution that owns an investment company. And I remember talking to someone, and they're like, look, it's in the next 2-3 years or so, this is going to happen. It's just a matter of time, essentially. So we get to this point, and everyone's expecting something, right? Trump gets in office and things start going well. It's good. Good. He deregulates a lot of stuff. We're good with that. Awesome. But then people are expecting this, something's wrong because there's this bubble that we kicked down the road back in 2008. And now coronavirus on top of it, and things start to plummet. And then the one guy says, oh, this must be it. He sells out. Next guy says, stock market has dropped a little bit. Sell. all the way down. So that's why it's probably not going to get much better for the next couple of years. But then again, we don't exactly know. But which gets us to this $1,000 stimulus check.
So is it a good thing that it's going down here right now, or is it a bad thing? Are prices going down, or are prices going up?
On what? No, it's
Houses.
it's a bad thing in the sense that this is going to hurt, right? It's going to hurt the economy.
Mm-hmm.
But
what's it going to hurt
don't,
personally? Like, what's it going to do to mine in your daily life?
Our 401k is going to plummet. Our savings are going to go way down, right? There are people, as of right now, lots of businesses are laying people off, right? People are going to get laid off. There's just these domino effects, right? And having all of this like panic on top of it, that adds another layer of like crap onto all of this.
So I don't know if we're going to get into this later or not. What would you say is the solution to this?
So what should have happened is we should have not bailed the banks out back in 2008. It would have hurt. It would have hurt the economy. It would have temporarily hurt. But we would have not kicked the can down the road to get us to this point now, right? The solution, I think, in the grand scheme of things, is that the government should not be involved in economic matters, period. It should not be, it's not its job, and it should not be involved in anything in the realm of economics. You know, you can justify, you know, when we look at like the scriptures, you can justify the government being involved in things like enforcing contracts in between people and businesses and things like that, which would be the extent of the economic stuff that I would think it could be involved in. Maybe organizing for like a national defense, a defense, not an offense. Maybe we can talk about the military in another episode, but and then things like punishing people who do wrong. God says that the government should be wielding the sword. But in no respect should the government be handing out money. The government cannot create value. It can't create wealth. It cannot. By its very nature, it cannot do that. The government does not, there's no such thing as government funded. There's only taxpayer funded. It's just government decides where it goes. And so when it does try to get involved in stuff like this, it makes things worse, which is what we're going to see now, right? I thought it was helping back in 2008 when it bailed all these people out, which sucks. It sucks that was the situation, but the banks would have never been in that situation if the government had not said, hey, give out these terrible loans to people. It would not have been in that situation. The government is not an agent of mercy. It is not an agent of mercy. It should not be merciful. It is an agent of justice. The church is an agent of mercy. And that's a whole nother rabbit trail. But that being said, when the government gets involved in mercy ministry kind of things, it distorts the market. It just causes problems. So the grand solution is government don't get involved. Now, with these $1,000 stimulus checks, just as an experiment, when you get $1,000, which I think there's going to be like 2 checks sent out, one in April 6th or something like that, and one in I don't know, later on. What do you think you'll do with it?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I might. Well, first of all, I might buy a gun because. Well, I'm just saying, like, that I think is a smart decision. You could save it. You could try to invest it. I don't know if I would invest in the stock market right now, but I maybe invest it in something that is, recession proof. Like, shoot, a lot of people are taking their stuff and pushing it into gold because gold is historically stable. And then once, the market hits the bottom, transfer it back into the stock market, and then you pop right back up there. I don't know. I don't think these checks are going to solve our problems.
No, they'll just make things worse, because where are we getting the money from?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's going to make us go deeper in the hole.
Yeah. Because like we said, there's no such thing as government funded. It's taxpayer funded.
Yeah.
I thought about this, and I was like, if the lesson that we should have learned back in 2008 and in previous recessions is that when you try to take risk out of the market, you're going to cause problems. Like, you're going to cause greater risk scenarios in the future. Yeah. And so what we're doing here is we're saying, or what should happen, in my opinion, is that everyone should be able to opt in to whether or not they get $1,000, but they should understand that $1,000 needs to be paid back by them within the next couple years.
Yeah.
So it will save you maybe right now in this situation where we've got coronavirus and all this stuff and people are being laid off and all that stuff. But with the understanding that if you take this money, you have to pay it back. So the risk is still in there. The risk and the pressure is still in there to, yes, you can have it, but you have to pay it back.
Yeah.
This is not free money. We do not want to get into a situation where we think as citizens that the government is our nanny, essentially. They're not our catch-all. They're not our savior, essentially. People interact with people, and they create value for society, and they build up the economy and all this stuff. When and we here at Christ and Capital think that you need to love God, love neighbor, and build something, which is how an economy works. That's how an economy will thrive. But if you're taking risks, more risk than you normally would, because the government's going to bail you out if some things go south, you're taking
no
on
risk.
There is no risk, and so you don't wisely use your money.
You
don't
care.
put it into the places where it's most necessary. You don't look for the places where you're going to get the most return or the most return for the risk, essentially, because you don't have any risk. And so you get careless with your money and you just throw it out, which is essentially, I think, what's going on right now, and I think what will happen. It's going to have to be paid back. This $1,000 is going to have to be paid back by someone. And I get the I get the point, or I get the argument that people make that this is a really off the wall situation because we got coronavirus and this is just a terrible situation to be in. I get that. Get the $1,000 if you need it. Pay off whatever debts you need to, so that you don't have that domino effect where businesses are going out of business after business after business because people can't pay their and then they can't pay their suppliers and they can't pay their suppliers. I get that. But there still needs to be the pressure in the market that you're going to have to pay this back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The government's not your savior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the company? And I didn't necessarily read the article. I just saw kind of what it was saying. They made it was some third-party company made these masks to help people with coronavirus breathe. I guess because it's a long issue, coronavirus is. And so they made these masks or whatever to help people breathe. Well, now they're being sued by Big Pharma or somebody, I don't know, for selling these masks to help people. It's
why?
Because it's the other people want the money. They're selling these masks and they want all the money. I don't know if like I said, I didn't read the whole article. I don't know exactly.
It's it probably has something to do with all this legal barriers that the government has put up. Have you heard about all that stuff with FDA regulations being stripped away? They basically said, hey, let's do away with all of these unnecessary regulations so that we can get this stuff going quicker. We can free up hospitals, and they don't have to spend so much time like going through all the red tape, in the health industry and all this stuff, so that we can tackle this whole situation now, rather than let's just put all the regulation aside, or most of the regulation aside, and we can, for now, and let's, operate without, having to jump through all these hoops. And so I bet you when that company that was creating those masks, they may have thought, since we're stripping away all of these like loopholes where, maybe the medical industry had a monopoly on creating those masks, maybe they're saying, hey, we have an opportunity to create these things and get them out to the public. But you're saying they were getting sued for it? I think most regulations can probably be done away with, but I don't know. Okay, well, price gouging. Toilet paper is going off the shelves. Hand sanitizer is going off the shelf. A guy bought up 17,000 hand sanitizer bottles to sell,
and then told he can't sell them.
And then told he can't sell them. Yeah. It was a jerk move.
Yeah,
I think it was a jerk move by him, but it's not actionable legally, and it should not be actionable legally. If you think about it, that's what retail stores do.
Yeah.
They buy cheap, sell high. That's all they do. And I understand this dude is trying to capitalize on a bad situation. He's trying to get money profiting off of a bad situation. And I'm like, yeah, dude, just that's a jerk move. But the problem I have is with the solutions that people are trying to propose, like price capping the price of a product at a certain level. And essentially what you do when you cap a price is you tell suppliers there's no demand here. That's what you're telling them. Yeah. You're telling, this happened with, was it Katrina, and what was the most recent hurricane in Houston? Or was it Houston? Harvey? One of the big hurricanes that happened, and it wiped out like all of the stores, and there was not a lot of water to go around, and so companies got in trouble for price gouging, quote unquote. Which, the prices do rise, and they rise because there's a spike in demand, right? And when there's a spike in demand and prices reach that meet that demand or go up to that demand, suppliers from all over the place are going to come in to fill that void, right? Yeah. If you cap prices, the guys who are a little bit far away, who don't normally service this area, they don't have any justification. They have no justification for doing this. You're not marrying their incentives with the needs of the customers, right? What you want to do is you want prices to rise so that they see, hey, look, we can justify. We're not going to have a loss if we go and supply this area. Raise the prices a little bit. Yeah, like raise it. That's what should have happened with the guy who bought the 17,000 hand sanitizers. Target or whoever he bought it from should have seen this coming, and should have bumped the prices up so he doesn't have the money to buy 17,000 bottles of it, so that there's some left on the shelf for the guy who needs it. And he's going to pay a little bit more than normal, but that's the nature of supply and demand. He'll have some. Now he doesn't have any because this guy over here is. So you can't punish this guy for having better forecasting mechanisms than the retail store. Like they should have bumped it up. Now look, I think it is a jerk move that he did that, but you don't when the government comes in and tries to manipulate the market, supply and demand, with their regulations, they either create in this case they create deficits or shortages where toilet paper is leaving the shelves, or in other situations they create surpluses where they incentivize too much production.
Yeah.
And then there's tons left over, and it's a waste of resources. I was watching Trump's address this morning, and there was a comment that came through the live stream, and it said, people always comment on there. Like those comment sections are just, they're ridiculous. But one comment came through, and it was like, what can you do to keep the shelves from going empty? Like, what can you do? And I'm like, raise the prices.
Yeah.
Like, raise the prices, because what you'll do is you'll make sure that the person who really needs it is going to have it, right? And the guy who doesn't necessarily need it very much, you'll make sure that he doesn't come in and just buy up the whole shelf and then speculate on Amazon or wherever.
Yeah.
It's just supply and demand. Supply and demand is based on human interact. I mean, it's just how humanity works.
Yeah.
And I think the government just doesn't realize that.
Yeah.
Maybe they do, but there's just so much bureaucracy and all this stuff, all competing interests that keep them from staying out of the marketplace.
Yeah.
Like, just let it go.
Yeah.
Let it be. So ultimately, like we said again, the market's going to work best when you love God, love neighbor, and you're out there being productive and building something.
Yeah. Amazon's the one who told the guy, hey, they took his stuff off or like blocked something, so he couldn't sell it anymore.
Yeah. Which, that's what Amazon does.
Yeah.
They take things.
Yeah.
I mean, it provides a platform for people to take things at a cheap cost and sell them for a higher price. And again, it's a terrible situation to be in. The guy, I think, was probably should not have done that. That should not have been his right mind. But if you're going to essentially, the way you combat that with him is you're telling him the values he should have.
Yeah.
You're telling him what religion he should be.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling him what worldview he should have.
Government is God.
Yeah, you have to say, no, you have to treat people this way, and you have to love people this way, and you have to do this. But when you go into that realm, you're preaching.
Yeah.
It's no longer you're not talking about just strict rules. You're talking about what values this person should have.
Yeah.
And if you're into the whole diversity and inclusion thing, how are you going to tell him what he, what values he can have? And it's.
Yeah. I don't understand this whole toilet paper thing. Like, it also applies to guns. Guns, ammunition. You can't find them now.
Really?
Like, people have just bought them up, and then they'll. It's been like a few days. A lot of stores have been out of ammunition, and they just got it back, and it's like gone. And I don't really. And you see people on Facebook. It's like, why are you buying up all the ammo so I can have it whenever the boogaloo starts to go get all the toilet paper or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, if people just lived their normal lives right now, we wouldn't be. I mean, we would still be in this downfall, but we wouldn't be having as many issues with toilet paper
But it's speaking to even deeper philosophical issues, because what we would want is for people to live their normal lives, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that things are, collapsing and things are going downhill. You can't, if you are in the worldview that says that it's every man for himself, kill or be killed, dog eat dog,
survival of the fittest.
Well, of course you're going to go out and buy all the ammo, and you're going to go out and make sure that you get all the stuff off the shelves, and it's for you and your family. You're supposed to provide. But if you have a worldview that says, look, yes, I'm going to provide for my family, but this is not. I'm not going to say this is not my home, because I don't necessarily believe that. But this is not the end. Like this world is not the ultimate goal. It's not the ultimate end. That's why Christians can say, "Kill my body, whatever. You're fine. It's not going to do." My treasure is in heaven. My life was with Christ. Yeah. Paul says, "To live is Christ, and to die is gain." Yes, we're going to provide for a family. We're going to take care of ourselves, and we're going to take care of the world. Like we talked about in the last episode, we're going to invest ourselves into the world to build it up, but ultimately it's not in our hands to just survive.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah. So go out and buy your toilet paper, I guess, because that's gonna. I don't know what that's. I don't understand.
Yeah. And this really has nothing to do with this episode, but you know, and you're kind of getting into conspiracy theories here. You know, China was having like a bunch of protests recently.
Hong Kong was, yeah.
Yeah, and then this whole virus comes out. There's no protests anymore. There's
yeah.
I don't know.
Have you seen all like the all the meat market stuff that where this stuff came out of?
No.
They have like these street meat markets, and they have all these exotic like meats.
Bats.
Yeah, it's like
Who eats
crazy.
bats?
They have bats, and they have these like huge, what do they call them, mollusks or mussels? Like huge.
Really?
They look like slugs, but they're like huge, and like all this crazy, crazy stuff. And it's like, that's why all these diseases keep coming out of China.
You know, there's 2 strings of the coronavirus. That's why it's so hard to combat right now.
2 what?
There's 2 strings of it, 2 strands of it, like 2 different types of it.
Really?
Yeah, and that's why there's a L and a S or something like that. COVID-19 L and COVID-19 S, something like that. But it started. It was a disease that was only transferred from animal to animal, and then it grew. It somehow grew, and it changed to where it can go to humans. Now it can go from human to human. But just wash your hands.
Yeah.
Be smart, and you'll be fine.
And I think it's when people, this is not a medical podcast, so take everything that we're going to say with a grain of salt. But when people talk about this in terms of like the death rate, like how many people it's killed, that's not the problem. That's not what the scary part is. The scary part is that it has a latency period that's like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you can be infected
and
not know it for 2 weeks, and you're spreading it around all over the place.
Yeah.
And because and then once you get into the hospital to when you're cured is like a couple weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. And so the scary part is you've got these people who don't know that they're sick, and people already in the hospital for 3 or 4 weeks. And so as those people realize they're sick, the hospital's just piling up.
Yeah.
And so that's why you've got this whole like flatten the curve thing, where it's like, we should probably be taking this pretty seriously. But I don't think, don't panic. When you panic, not only does it cause people to make irrational decisions, but it also compromises your immune system. Like it like mentally or psychologically does. It just suppresses your immune system. So just stop panicking. This is one of those scenarios where it's like you need a nation. We need to be a nation that is on the same level values wise, and which gets into worldview, right?
Yeah.
You need to have the same values.
Yeah.
You need to know that human beings are deserving of dignity and respect and value. You need to know proper ethics, certain ways of treating people.
Yeah.
And when you're in like a pluralistic society, it's hard for you to say, like if you take on pluralism, it's hard for you to say, well, the way that you're treating people is, not a good way to do it, because it's his truth, right?
Yeah.
Let him speak his truth and you do you.
Yeah.
It's
like, having a fire in a building. If everybody panics, so say you're in a movie theater and there's a fire, if everybody gets up at the same time and tries to run out, you're going to have people tripping, and then it's like, you ever seen bike races where one biker will fall and then everybody else just, and people have to like try to go around and everything. Well, if everybody just keeps their calm, gets out in a decent amount of time, but you don't run over everybody, everybody will get out. But if you have everybody running at the exact same time, jumping over people, you're going to have people falling, people stepping on people, and then it causes people to back up because they can't get around other people.
Yeah.
And so it's
mayhem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not downplaying this whole coronavirus. Like, I think it is a serious thing, but at the same time, I think on one end it has been blown out of proportion. I don't know all I know it's serious. I was listening to he's a family physician dude. It was on Facebook. He said like H1N1, the seasonal flu, there's like a, compared to coronavirus, it's like 0.01 or 0.02% death rate for H1N1 seasonal flu type stuff compared to a 1% for the coronavirus. So it's 10 times more likely to die from this than from seasonal flu H1N1.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, I'm not downplaying the seriousness of it, but
right.
Be smart. Wash your hands,
like be tactical, be smart about it. Like the rates, the infection rates are declining in China and in other places of the world, and people look at that and they're like, look, it's fine, everything's fine, we'll be okay. But it's because those places have taken like drastic containment measures, like quarantine and all this stuff.
Did you listen to the Ben Shapiro episode where he talked about this? And he's talking about, it's kind of like nobody knows what to do, so everybody's doing something different. So you've got like China, they're saying nobody can go out. Stay inside your home.
Italy right now, if you're out just wandering around, you're going to be charged with attempted murder.
Really?
Yeah, like that's crazy.
There was so like you got like China, they're like stay inside, do not come out, whatever. Then you've got us, we're like be smart about it, go outside if you have to, but stay inside. But it's not like we're not making you stay inside. And then it's like France or somewhere, they're like anybody over 60 stay inside, everybody else do whatever you want. Keep your normal life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's called what do they call that? The herd immunity, where let's let all the young people get it, keep all of the elderly people inside and away from this, but let the young people get it. They build up an immunity or whatever, and then you can.
Yeah, but then you've got like that dude in China who's got it twice already.
What?
Yeah, at least one, if not more, confirmed cases of someone getting
it twice. Can you imagine?
But I don't know if that's because like there's the two strands of it, or if he got the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
and then all this stuff gets people out of, businesses are shutting down.
Yeah.
If businesses can't operate with their employees working from home, they're taking a huge hit. That's why the retail sector. Yeah. I posted that thing from David Bonson on Facebook that was like, look, if you're going to go out, or if you're going to pick up something for dinner or something, tip these people more than you normally would, because they're going to see a drastic chop in their normal income. So just be kind, just love each other, love your neighbor. If you can stomach it, give out a little bit more.
Yeah.
This is a time where we need to be people who give. And it's just, I'm always picking on the Darwinian, thing, but if you're founded on a society whose basic assumption is survival of the fittest, all this stuff, and that doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Yeah, you can want to, but it's kind of inconsistent with the fundamental assumption that if someone else gains, then I'm gonna lose, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The zero-sum game kind of thing. So just realize when we cooperate together and we love each other and we sacrifice for each other and give to the poor and we do all this stuff to help each other out, we're reflecting a biblical worldview. We're reflecting a view that is my neighbor is valuable.
Yeah.
Whether or not I'm going to lose from this or not, or whatever, they're valuable and they deserve respect and dignity.
Yeah. And that's one thing. So I don't agree with the government on everything. But when they're...
Yeah, we're not, to the listeners, we're not government haters.
Yeah.
We just think that the government's doing way too much in a lot of different places.
Yeah. But I think it's good that they're suggesting people stay in small groups. Like, they're looking out for people.
Yes.
Like, we want to make sure that this stays contained and it doesn't get... Everybody has it and everybody dies, whatever.
Yep.
They're saying, no, like, this is a way to combat it. Now, love your neighbor. Don't be too close.
Yep. I think it's a proper role for government to come in. But it's not a proper role for the government to come in and say that we can heal all your woes.
Yeah.
We can push out. That's why if you're listening to this, listen to the CDC. It's not a conspiracy. It's not the government's not out to get you. Just they're good people. They're wanting the society not to go the way of Italy. So just listen to them. Stay in your house if you can. Don't group up into groups of lots of people. This thing spreads super contagious. So just take precautions.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of like us. Are we going to? Probably not. But for the police department, we're allowed to charge people that are in groups of more than 100 people.
Really?
Yeah. Who do we
you
charge? I don't know. Probably, I asked my sergeant, he's probably the
leader.
Yeah, the person who's over it. Like if it's a
community gathering or something.
Something like that. Or if it's like a nightclub or something, you charge whoever's let all these people in.
Oh.
But they also tell us, talk to the DA first to see if we want to charge. And we're probably not going to, but...
Yeah. But the listeners don't know what district or jurisdiction you work in, so listen to your authority. Listen to your authoritative figures.
We won't, but I don't.
So just to round this all out, there's a discussion in the economic community whether what drives an economy and what grows an economy, what makes an economy flourish. Is it demand side economics where what people demand is what drives an economy, or is supply? Are you a supply side economist where supply is what drives an economy? We're a supply side economists where we think that people saving up, having that store of resources available to take risks in the future and to take risks on invention and investment and all this stuff, that's what drives and grows an economy. Supply side economics. Doesn't matter what you demand if someone can't supply it.
Yeah.
You have to be the creator. You have to be the person who supplies the marketplace with the things that they want. And the only way that you can do that is if you have a wealth of store of resources that you have at your disposal to take on risks, like a coronavirus that destroys an economy, right? I heard today Uber's stock price jumped 35% because the CEO came out and said, "Hey, we have enough cash on hand to weather this storm."
Yeah.
And so it's like people are like, "All right, well, let me go ahead and invest." You need to have a store of resources personally. I'm not just talking about corporate as a business or whatever. Personally, you need to have a store of resources at your disposal. It frees you up. It makes you a free individual so that you can make future investments to get greater return, or you can weather storms like this. If you have 3 months or 6 months worth of your expenses saved up, this doesn't hurt you. I mean, it hurts you that you're depleting your resources, but you're not gonna. You can pay your suppliers. You don't cause that chain reaction where you can't pay your suppliers and then they can't pay their suppliers and they can't pay their suppliers. So you need to have that store of resources. And how do you do that? Well, just as a little side note, most people who are wealthy, millionaires and multimillionaires, billionaires, do not have just one stream of income.
Yeah.
Right? They don't just have a 9-to-5 job. They have their 9-to-5 job. They have a side thing that they're doing, a side hustle, like what they're doing on the side. They have their investments paying them dividends. They have maybe they have a hobby that they're doing, that they maybe play an instrument and they play gigs at a restaurant every now and then. And I think everyone who's listening to this podcast should be looking for ways that things that you have, your personal capital that you have that you can use to create value for someone else. Okay? And we're going to real quick just talk about our favorite side hustles real quick. And so that we, side hustles that we've seen on the internet where people are making money, or just, friends that are doing something that are making money, anything. So what do you have any, Zach?
Well, I've got one main one, but I was watching a video today.
Talk about Andrea.
Yeah.
Oh wait, never mind. We can talk about that later.
Well, yeah, okay. So my girlfriend, she does calligraphy. She's
very good at it.
She's very good. She just she can freehand write calligraphy, and she sells a good bit of it. But she's also in school, so she does it whenever she can to make a little extra money, and she gets a bunch of orders. But I was watching a video today. It's from this popular YouTuber. I guess he makes a ton of money. because the videos I watch, he's like, him and his friends were going out and they'd play little games and they're like, the winner will get $10,000. Or he went out one time and bought a whole grocery store, everything that was in the grocery store, and then donated it to a food drive. I was watching today, he called him and his friends were at a house, they had bought a new house. They were like, hey, we need some pizza. Guy came, the pizza delivery guy came, they were like, hey, do you want to help us move some furniture in for a few $1,000s? It's like, sure. So he
$1,000?
So he went in, he went in, he helped them they were like, what do you like? Do you think this is good for the house? Do you think this is good for the house? This TV, you like that TV for the house? Yeah, all this sort of stuff. They get done, they go, they unload it, everything. They get done, they're like, all right, here's the key to the house. They gave the pizza dude a house for free.
Well, that's an extreme example.
Yeah, but no, the main, I've been watching this. Am I allowed to say different stuff on here? I guess they're not listening right now. What do you mean? Like, are you gonna
name brands?
Yeah, are you able to get?
No, yeah, you can say it.
I've been watching this thing. It's called Gouging Squad, and it's a group of guys. They started making plastic and rubber fishing lures stuff, and so there's about like 5 or 6 guys, and they become very popular recently. They YouTube videos of them fishing, going out, and they also do like shooting and all this sort of stuff. But they also each personally have their own YouTube channel. So they've got the main Gouging Squad channel, but then their own personal one where they're also
like
making
a network
money.
Of content creators.
So they're all very wealthy now.
Really?
Off of YouTube.
Gouging
It started all on YouTube. They just started making YouTube videos, started getting people watching it, and then they started getting sponsors and all this sort of stuff.
That's awesome. That's kind of like the Dude Perfect guys.
Yeah.
They just started making videos of them making really cool trick shots.
Yeah, and now they have their own TV channel. Well, not channel, but TV show, and
yeah, that's awesome. I want to get them on the show.
That'd be cool. They're Christians.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see about it. My favorite. So, my wife also has a little side hustle. She has her own business where she makes embroiders baby clothes, and we actually just bought a heat press that can do heat press type of shirts and stuff like that, which is really cool. She's really enjoying that. So that's another kind of stream of income coming in. But one of the side hustles or extra income projects or whatever that I've seen on the internet is the guy Jake D. Almighty. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he basically he started out as a video game guy.
Oh, really?
He was a video gamer. Yeah, really? And I don't know if he was making money doing that, but he was pretty popular doing it. And then it somehow transitioned into scuba diving.
Yeah.
Where he films himself scuba diving and finding this stuff, at the bottom of lakes and ponds and all this stuff. And he gets millions of views every single episode or every single video that he makes. And if you don't know, YouTube pays. Yeah. YouTube will pay you. I think there's a scale out there. It's like for every 1,000 views, if you get 1,000 views, you get like $7, and the scale goes up from there. Yeah. But like, there's so much opportunity to get out there and just like make something. Yeah. Just go and like make it. Like if you have an idea, if you have a hobby, or just something that you're interested in, there's a market out there, and there's a way to make money off of it.
Yeah.
Just go and like research it, figure it out.
So his friend that he has on there sometimes, he's got the short dark hair.
I've seen a couple
videos.
Yeah, I don't know.
He also gave him a jet ski one time. He bought a jet ski for this guy.
Yeah,
well, that dude,
he's wealthy
dude
now.
is also friends with the Gouging Squad people. He's been on their videos.
Really?
Yeah. So they don't live in the same state. 'Cause I'm pretty sure, I don't know where he lives.
Yeah.
The Jake dude, but Gouging Squad, they're from Texas.
Yeah. This whole like content creator economy is awesome. I think it's so cool. Like, it gives anyone the possibility of making money.
Yeah.
Now, you can go out and do dumb stuff to get, viewers.
Yeah.
And it can, in some sense, incentivize people just doing stuff that they probably shouldn't be doing just to get views. But YouTube will cut down on that, which they probably should. But
did you see Marcus? He did that whenever they had one of the Democratic debates, where like he was streaming it, but you had to pay him to watch it and stuff like that. And you had like a bunch of people who didn't agree with him get on there and argue with him.
No, you didn't have to pay him. They're called super chats, where you can pay, I think the way it works is you pay the person who's doing the live stream or the video, and they'll answer your question.
Yeah.
Like they will definitely answer your question.
Yeah.
But you had a whole bunch of people paying him because to like throw insults at him.
Yeah.
I think
you
that's
got to share the gospel with them and everything.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is awesome. So there's so much opportunity. Anyone that's listening to this, get out there and make something. Go and build something. When we talk about building something for Christ and Capital in the logo, we're not talking about like just physically building something. We're not talking about going out and like trying to build a Google a business, a tech business or something like that. Just start, small steps. Like start making content, making videos, or writing a blog, or just anything. The internet opens the world to you. There's so much opportunity. Just go out and do it. So until next episode, which
might be a while.
I'm about to have a baby. So I have an idea what we want to talk about in that next one. But until next time, as I always say, go out, love God, love neighbor, and build something.
And buy guns.
Cue the outro music.